Hello, this is Brenda Green, and I'd like to welcome you to Living in the Go. Today, I want to talk to you about medical debt. Over the years, I've had medical debt, certainly, and a lot of people that I know have. But even with me having insurance, there are still things that don't get paid, and medical debt can be pretty crippling. One of the main reasons that a lot of people file bankruptcy here in the United States is because of medical debt, because they have so much of it that they can't manage and it's really crippling them. And so we need to understand medical debt and know more about it and how to handle it. So those are the things I want to talk about today. So let's get into it. So the question I want to pose is medical debt different? Not really. Medical debt, you get that from healthcare costs and related expenses. Typically with medical debt, it's different from other debt because you aren't trying to get sick. You aren't trying to have an accident. Things just occur. And so you need the healthcare professionals to assist you to help you get well. So it's unavoidable. I mean, if you're born, you're usually born in a hospital. If you die, you usually die in a hospital. So there is going to be some form of medical debt. But the medical debt, like unpaid debt, can do major damage to your finances. The delinquent bills can eventually show up on your credit report and drag down your credit score. So that's certainly not good. And before you miss a payment, you want to make sure that you call to see if you can work out a payment plan. They're usually willing to work with you, but you can ask if you can make smaller payments every month or have a little bit more time to pay your bill. Some of the things you also need to consider is when a loved one dies, people think about the person's medical debt and think that they're responsible for it. But as an heir, you're not responsible for a person's debt. They will maybe come after you in terms of, does that person have an estate? Do they have insurance or whatever to pay it? But you are not responsible for your loved one's medical debt unless you're a spouse. As always, I do have my beliefs, so I want to share those with you. So we all have to have medical services in our lifetime. I mean, if we're born in a hospital, there's a cost. And at the end of the day, we die in a hospital, so there's a cost. So you want to try to prepare. You want to try to have some type of health insurance throughout your life so that those costs can be covered. If you don't have medical insurance, I mean, if there are things that you could have because you're low income, look into those. I know here in the United States, we have a service called Medicaid, where if you're low income, you can get Medicaid and it will cover most of your basic services. So you want to make sure that you look into that. Also, many hospitals have special payment plans for low income patients, but you have to ask. They don't advertise it. Unfortunately, it's almost like you have to beg them to give them what's important. And so make sure that you do ask and shop around. I know that sounds funny to say, but let's say you have to have certain services done and it's not an emergency and you have time to get it prepared. Then look around. You'd be amazed how a cost for some type of surgery in one area is one thing. And then if you go to the suburbs where you can get great quality care as well, it's half the price. It's mind-boggling that those things aren't regulated, but they're not. So shop around, see what you can find to help you because that will go a long way. And everything's negotiable, even the medical debt. You want to make sure that you're looking at your bills when you receive them because sometimes they're padded. Sometimes they'll put things on there that you didn't even get. So you need to look at it, make sure it's the right bill, and then go back to them to have them change anything that's not what you know happened. Negotiate those things. Make sure that you have the right things in place. And also, don't ignore the debt. I know sometimes it can be crippling. You see that debt come in and you think, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay this? Never ignore it because if you do, they can sue you, they can garnish your wages. I mean, they may sound really friendly when you talk to them, but bottom line is that you have to make some kind of arrangements. And again, you can always ask for lower payments, time to pay it back, ask if they can reduce some things, if you can pay larger chunks of it, whatever you can do to make that happen. Just don't refuse to pay that bill. I was talking with someone recently who was told, pretty much threatened, if she didn't pay the bill, that services would be refused for her at that doctor's office going forward. So that's pretty horrible when you're ill and you need help, but you're afraid to go because they're not going to cover the payments. So just something to think about. So I certainly want to thank you for your time and attention, and I hope this was helpful for you. If there are things that you want me to talk about, just send me a message, let me know. But have a wonderful day. And again, this is for our community to stay informed, to stay in touch.